Hello viewers, I'm Dr. Angie and I'm back with another reaction video. This time it is Mikhaila Peterson, and the reason I picked this interview is because of course it has a lot of views and I like her as well. Also, on another note, I'm a psychiatrist, but in some interviews there's not a lot of psychiatric expertise that I can add, and sometimes my viewers get upset that I didn't add a lot of psychiatric value to my video. So I will try my best, but I don't know how much I can add to it, but this will definitely be my personal reaction to this video as well as whatever psychiatric expertise I can add. So let's get started.
So I interviewed your dad, Jordan Peterson. Let's get that out of the way quickly. What's it like being Jordan Peterson's daughter starting?
Well, it's opened a lot of doors, I think, that wouldn't have been open to me. So that's one thing. It's extremely dramatic. It's somewhat stressful. Ever since he went viral in 2017, our lives have just been turned completely upside down.
I didn't even know it's this recent, because Jordan Peterson seems like he has been popular forever. Actually, the first interview I watched of Mikhaila, it was not even an interview, it was her podcast, and she was the podcaster, and I was really impressed by the way she conducted it. I did not even know at that time that she is Jordan Peterson's daughter. So I will talk a little more about it later. But let's first of all discuss how she said that it's not easy. If a lot of people think that if you are a child of a very successful person or a rich person, it's all just good, but there are some pros and cons. Obviously, like she said, she has a lot of doors that were open for her, which is a very big pro, but it's very dramatic and they are always in the public eye. They are always scrutinized. Every move is watched. So that can be easy. So it means that she has a lot of responsibility for her actions.
So I was reading an article earlier about how Jordan gets on TV and cries about being famous. And I used to look at celebrities and think, oh, if they're complaining about fame, what are they complaining about? You have money and opportunity, stop it. But the amount of stress that also comes with that, I think, is hard to understand unless you experience it.
Had a huge impact on him, on your family, on you?
That is so true. So I'm not saying that I'm popular by any means, but I think last year my daughter made a TikTok of me without me knowing, and that went viral. And it was very stressful. So I completely understand. I always thought, oh my gosh, viral videos are so good and I wish I had a viral video. But when I went viral, it's not always all good, because the type of comments you receive, they are a lot of hater comments, lot of comments in which they are really scrutinizing you and watching your every move. So it's not all good. It's definitely good, but it's very stressful. Anyone who is very popular know that. So I just got a slight glimpse when it happened to me.
Yeah, it's been wild, but I can't complain about the opportunity. I mean, I've taken advantage of that as much as I can.
Well, you become a big star yourself. When I tell people I'm interviewing you, young people are like, oh, wow, that's great. You've got nearly 1 million subscribers to your YouTube channel. You're doing these huge numbers on social media. What is it about you? It's not just because you're Jordan's daughter. There's something else. What is it you think that's really grabbing people's attention?
That is true. Like I was mentioning earlier, that when I watched her first podcast, I didn't even know she's Jordan Peterson's daughter. And I was very caught in the podcast, and I watched the entire podcast just because of you, the way she conducted it, her confidence, her personality. I agree, she has a lot of fame just by her name, not just by being Jordan Peterson's daughter. And another thing I just want to comment on her appearance. She has a very strong presence. There are certain people who have a very strong presence. So when they enter the room, everyone can sense their presence. So she's one of those people. Also, she's very well kept, really attractive. And it's not only her looks, she's also very confident. Not only confident, she's also calm. So let's look at Piers Morgan. How is he reacting in this interview? So I've personally never seen Piers Morgan looking this calm and relaxed in an interview. And he seemed so calm, relaxed, and so happy. And he's listening to her. He's not talking over her. In most of the interviews he does, he's always talking over the guest. But in this one, he's not, because she is giving him time to finish his question, and then she is responding with her answers. Also, she's very to the point. A lot of people just go on tangents. A very prime example is Andrew Tate. Like, a lot of people just go on a lot of different tangents, but her answers are really to the point.
I brought a lot of people into the personal aspect of that, and then I guess I'm a fairly disagreeable female, which I think is attractive to some people.
But I would find that quite agreeable.
I'm polite, and it depends. We might agree on a lot of things.
She said I'm quite disagreeable female, and what she means is she has a strong opinion. She has a voice of her own. She is opinionated, but again, she's doing it in a way that she's not on your face. She's doing it in a very subtle, confident way. It's just like really nice to see this young female having this kind of confidence and have such a strong personality, but still subdued in some ways.
We might agree on a lot of things, so that might be it.
We probably agree with more than you think. Just for those who don't know your health story, very quickly, tell me what happened.
Yeah, she's really popular because of her health and what happened her to during her childhood. So let's watch that.
I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis since I was 2. I was diagnosed when I was 7, and then my health just went downhill. So I was depressed. I had chronic fatigue.
So juvenile rheumatoid arthritis is a chronic condition. It's very unfortunate that people get it. It's autoimmune condition, and usually young children get it. Like, she was diagnosed when she was only 7, and it can have a lot of physical symptoms too, especially fatigue, and then it involves joints.
My skin was a mess. I was on like 8 medications and I couldn't function.
Yeah, and the medications they are prescribed or that are required for this condition are very strong medications, usually steroids or medications that are given to cancer patients from what I remember, but they are really strong medications. So those medications also cause side effects of their own.
And when I was 22, I decided the medical system wasn't helping me. I'd had my hip and ankle replaced. Like, I'd had years of being on painkillers and things.
So her entire childhood, she dealt with it. So she was diagnosed when she was 7. In her early 20s, she was still dealing with the medical system, and her hip and her joint, like her knees, were replaced, which is very major surgery. All of this shows me that she had a childhood when she suffered, and a lot of time when people suffer, they either just grow from that suffering or they get into the victim mindset. But it seems like she didn't get into that victim mindset, and she grew. She learned from that suffering. That is part of why she is here, and that's why maybe like she seems kind of mature for her age, and it is most probably because of what she has encountered as a child.
So I took it into my own hands, and that was when I was 22 when I realized that if you have issues in your life, nobody other than you is going to fix them.
Wow, that is so profound. And I wish more people understand that, because I've seen so many of my clients and so many people around me. Usually they are always blaming other people, or sometimes just like God or universe or their fate, that why they have this thing. Like, they feel like they just become victim and something happened to them. But she was so young at 22 and she realized that she is someone who has to fix things that are happening to her.
I'd learned to get help, and that wasn't working for me. So I started to delve into diet.
Actually, I will interject. So I'm a psychiatrist, but I am a big like supporter of diet. I think if our diet is right, 75% of our issues can be treated. Diet is so important. And I do agree. She said medical system was not helping us. They are from Canada, so I don't know how is the system in Canada, but even here, a person can get really lost with a chronic disease in a medical system, which is very unfortunate. But it's good that she took everything in her hand. It seems like she did research and she started thinking about like diet and what changes she can do to her diet.
Back to school for a biomedical degree, which I didn't end up finishing. I did a couple of years of that, and I started delving around in diet. So like, long story short, I ended up only eating meat, which I think is also kind of what helped people start following me, because they're like, what's this weird all beef woman up to?
How long did you do that for?
I'm still on it. So.
And you literally only
6 years.
You only eat meat still?
Yep.
Talk me through a day's diet then.
Strip loin steak. That's
So you wake up in the morning. What do you have for breakfast?
Strip loin.
What do you have for lunch?
Strip loin.
What do you have for dinner?
Sometimes strip loin in soup.
So yeah, that's what I do remember her telling, that she's only on a meat diet. And at that time when I watched her interview, I think it was last year, it was really popular. I remember that guy, the big guy, Liver King, he was really talking about it too, and other people were talking about it. And they were just eating meat and meat products. Obviously not that healthy. I'm not going to recommend it, but if you are thinking about that diet, it's called carnivore diet, and you can only eat steak or meat products. So there are people who are doing it. There are a lot of like fitness industry people who are doing it too, and they are seeing results. So just do your own research and see if it's for you. Definitely, I'm not going to do it.
Dinner.
Sometimes strip loin in soup.
And dinner, same?
Yeah.
So you have 3 steaks a day. That's it.
Yeah. I would change it. if I...
So a lot of steaks, and I love beef. I try not to eat too much because obviously I think red meat is not very healthy, but it seems like she loves beef and she's eating it 3 times a day. I don't know if I'd still love it after eating it 2 times a day.
But as soon as I add anything back in, like there's still some underlying crazy autoimmune problems. Anytime I add anything back in, I
Do you
get
have no
arthritis.
vegetables or anything? You just...
Diet is a lot of inflammation and everything, so I don't know what is going on with her condition, the autoimmune condition she has. So it seems like this diet is working really well for her. If she adds anything else, she starts having symptoms.
Nope.
Nothing, just the steak.
Yeah.
Do you have any sauce?
No.
I mean, it's kind of fascinating. How long have you done this? 6 years?
Yeah.
And a lot of time we think sauce is nothing, but sauce has so much sugar. A lot of people don't understand that. So I can see, because in carnivorous diet, you are not doing carb, and sugar is a carb.
Yeah. 6 years in December.
You look like you're bursting with good health. I mean, what do the experts say about this?
Depends on the experts, but mostly.
I really like how she's never interrupting him. She's quiet, she listens. She seems like a very good listener. She's listening, then she pauses a little, and then she answers.
So that's why.
Do you drink alcohol?
I do sometimes.
You can have a nice glass of wine
That
with
puts
it.
a bit of a skew on the diet, because they're like, oh, you can only eat meat.
I'm glad she's so honest. So alcohol, obviously, it's carb, and in carnivorous diet, it's not recommended. But she is accepting that she does drink it. She's young, and I'm pretty sure she does. Maybe she stopped. And she's saying that it does affect, but she's still open about it.
Both Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate, the number of young boys, like late teens, early 20s, that come up to me about those interviews months and months, sometimes a year later, and wanting to talk about them, really curious what I thought of them and what I feel about that. It showed me there's a lot of young men who are wandering around kind of aimlessly and wanting direction. And they feel with your dad and with Andrew Tate and these others that they feel like at least somebody is trying to understand them and to guide them.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly grateful for my dad. I don't know if I would have been able to figure out my health problems if I hadn't had him as a father, because he basically told me I needed to fix my life. I couldn't use my health as an excuse, even though it was a legitimate excuse. And I think people aren't told how to make plans with their lives.
Of course, she is Jordan Peterson's daughter, and he taught her all that, but still she listened to him. So really good advice by her dad, that she cannot use her health as an excuse.
Like, hey, what's the goal you want to achieve? What are the steps you need to follow in order to get there? Just something.
It's all in our mind. We are limitless, but our mind tells us that we can't do it. Our mind uses excuses to do things, even like for addiction. Since I see so much addiction, I'm going to give you an example of addiction. A lot of time my patients, when they relapse, and I ask them like, what happened? Usually they always have an excuse. This happened, something bad happened, or this happened. So a lot of time we use our excuse to keep engaging in unhealthy behaviors. But she understood that if she wants to change, she cannot use her health, which is a very genuine excuse, but she cannot use it as an excuse. Just like, I don't know if you guys watch David Goggins. He's so inspirational, and he's one of the most fit person now, but he had so many health conditions. I think he had some issues with his knees, and he still overcome it. So we have a potential to do limitless thing, but it's just our logical mind that wants us to stay in comfort zone because it's evolutionary. Our logical mind wants us to be comfortable and safe. So it always tells us to be comfortable, safe, and lazy. If we stay in our comfort zone, we are not going to grow. But it's not easy to understand that our logical mind, it's just like an overbearing parent that just wants us to stay safe.
As simple as that. And so I know people like my dad tell people how to do that, and it changes their lives because there they go. They have a plan, and then
why are so many young people anxious? What is this anxiety epidemic about, do you think? Is it dopamine from the constant sensory overload of stuff they see on their phones, or what is it?
Well, I think it's multifaceted. I mean, the political atmosphere is a disaster. What you're being taught in school is a disaster. Social media seems to be a disaster, so that's got to play a role. And then there's no gender anymore for any of these kids in school.
I do hear that a lot, like why kids are so depressed, why kids are so anxious. I just don't think it is increasing. It may be, but I, as a psychiatrist, I see it was always there, but younger generation now is just more aware of it and is talking about it more. It's less stigmatized. Before it was happening, but people were just like suppressing it. They are not open about it. Now people are just more open about it. And there are certain things, obviously, like I think social media, phone, they are big culprits, especially for younger generation or even our generation, any generation, to get them hooked into those things. And these things cause depression, feelings of worthlessness, anxiety, because we are looking at other people. Everyone is putting their best life forward, and we think like our life is nothing compared to their life, and their life is not like that. They are just putting the perfect version of themselves. So it's just creating all those feelings of insecurities. I just don't see depression and anxiety getting that worse. I do think it always existed. People are just more aware of it. They are talking more about it, and there's nothing wrong about it.
Totally confusing. And then I mean, I think there's a health crisis in America. I think I was one of the people that got hit by that. So I know that the health crisis is impacting people's mental health.
Probably exacerbated by the COVID pandemic.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It separated people. It created a lot of loneliness.
Yeah, COVID definitely has caused more depression, anxiety, PTSD, but we see that in any of these environmental things. I think there was a Hurricane Katrina. I saw so many PTSD cases after Hurricane Katrina. So that is very natural outcome of any kind of disaster or any environmental situation or stressor.
Unless a lot of people, it made it worse, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, COVID was a disaster, especially in Toronto. Massive problems there.
Right. But
oh yeah, my family actually lives in Toronto, and things were so strict and lockdown was so serious over there. So I can see how depression and anxiety can get very prevalent during those times.
Do young people also, have they developed a kind of inability to deal with normal life stuff? I mean, I sense that there is a problem there in just getting through day-to-day normal life. A lot of young people are struggling. Why?
I don't think that they think they have control over anything. I don't think they're taught in school that they don't have control over the government, they don't have control over their lives. So if they're dealt a bad hand of cards, then there's nothing they can do about it, and then they get resentful and hopeless, which is why people like my dad, I think, have gotten famous, because it's like, no, you do have the power to change your life.
I do agree with that. Like in school, we are not taught lifestyle things, basic things. Like in medical school, they don't teach us nutrition. It is so important. I feel 75% of diseases can be helped or prevented by nutrition, but this is my personal opinion. In other schools, we are not taught some very basic, simple things, and that's why Andrew Tate, they become so popular, because they are teaching youth some very basic, practical life skills.
And articles used to come out about my dad. They used to hit him really hard. Like a New York Times article would come out. Somebody would come into our house, pretend to be all friendly, and then boom, this negative article. That was really hard. Every single time that happened, it was a catastrophe. And now we're not fazed at all. He's not fazed at all.
It's good that they have become kind of resistant to it. I don't know that much about Jordan Peterson. I do know, and she mentioned too, he has very conservative views. But I've watched some of his videos. They sounded good, but I just don't know all of his views. I do know some controversial issues related to him too. So I'm not going to comment too much about her dad here.
We've gotten used to it that way. but I don't think the controversy stopped. Like, where there's definitely more people. This is one thing that's weird that happens when you have money, is people come after you. I didn't realize, I'd heard about that, but I didn't realize that happened. So we're dealing with that in like 4 different ways.
This is just so true. When you have money, people come after you. Like, I just watched one of the videos. My ex-fiance sued me for $9 million by Brian Johnson. I don't know if you watch him. I follow him. He's all about continue to live forever. And he's doing this experiment on him. He's very interesting. So these are just facts. And a lot of people just don't know, when you have fame, you get haters. And when you have money, you get a lot of people coming after you to get your money. Overall, really good interview. I really enjoyed it. It was not as long as Andrew Tate one. So I hope you enjoyed my reaction too. Please let me know in the comment section if I missed something, or if you have any questions. If you want to watch my reaction of Piers Morgan on Andrew Tate, this is the video. Thank you, viewers, for watching again, and I will see you next time.